number 10, Rihanna. Rihanna might seem like a nice, happy-go-lucky person who's always going hard for her fans, but it turns out that she actually has a little bit of a dark side. I guess you could say that she's savage, like Savage X Fenty. No? Alright. It seems like on a few occasions, she's been quite mean to her fans. She's no stranger to shoving a phone out of her face when approached by a fan, and she's been known to yell at paparazzi and fans when they get a little too close for comfort. On some more unpleasant occasions, she's been filmed smacking a fan on the head with a microphone. During one of her concerts in England in 2013, the singer whacked a fan with her mic because they had reached their hand out to her. Like that. And in another savage incident, Rihanna mocked a 16-year-old fan online for having recreated one of her red carpet looks for prom, where she called her out on Twitter and made fun of her look, calling it expectation versus reality, and posting a side-by-side comparison. Not the nicest person in the industry, that's for sure. At number 9, Ezra Miller. This one was a little shocking, but it turns out that Ezra Miller might not be as nice of a guy as we think. You may have seen in the intro a video of Ezra Miller choking and slamming a woman to the ground. This video, when it first hit the internet, was thought to have been a joke, but it really wasn't. This happened during an altercation at a bar in Iceland when a group of fans approached the actor and things got out of hand. Bystanders of the incident described the group as being very pushy, and it seemed like this was what triggered Ezra's violent reaction. Things escalated and he lost his temper, leading to the physical altercation. Some say that alcohol may have contributed to the incident, but the bottom line is that Ezra's outburst was not cute, and it really surprised a lot of fans. Just before I continue on with the video, I'd like to ask you guys to maybe consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far. We love getting your positive feedback, and your likes really help us out too, so please go ahead and show us some love by smashing that like button. At number 8, Jennifer Lopez. This probably doesn't come as a shock to many, but it turns out that J-Lo isn't a very nice person. Some say that she's a real diva, and others say that she's just rude. Apparently, the singer/actress is very picky about who may or may not speak to her, and for those permitted to address her, they're not allowed to make eye contact with her. There are even reports that she sometimes flat out refuses to comply with scripts. This has happened on a few occasions, most notably during a filming for a Fiat commercial where they needed to hire a double for Jennifer simply because she just didn't want to do certain things for the shoot. She doesn't have a good reputation with a lot of people she's worked with either. She is said to have completely ignored the people who were remodeling her house. She's gotten a cleaning lady fired for having asked for an autograph, and she even refuses to talk to in-flight staff and pilots on flights, and instructs her assistant to talk to them for her. And even though her staff do so much for her, including communicating for her, they don't get paid very much for their time. J-Lo just gives off bad vibes, so I think maybe it's best to steer clear of her whenever possible. At number 7, Jesse James. Jesse James is an American entrepreneur, TV personality, and Sandra Bullock's ex-husband. Jesse is known in the media for his extramarital affairs, as he's known to have cheated on Sandra Bullock when they were together, and most recently we found out that he cheated on his now ex-wife Alexis DeJoria with at least 20 women. Leaked DMs and other images expose Jesse for his affairs, but this isn't the first time that a photo has gotten him in trouble. The West Coast Choppers founder was also accused of being someone who supports the ideals similar to those of the World War II German government in 2004 after a photo was leaked which showed him posing like the fascist German leader. I think you know what I'm talking about. Jesse clearly has problems respecting people on different fronts, and he definitely is not a nice person. At number 6, Ellen DeGeneres. I think this one's a little obvious because it's Ellen. We've done a lot of videos on Ellen. Ellen has been exposed as one of the meanest people in Hollywood. Even though she was all about kindness and spreading good vibes on her show, it seems like Ellen's angel persona on TV was quite the opposite in real life. Many staff members, as well as other people who've been on the show with her and have worked with her in the past, have started coming forward to talk about Ellen's mean streak in Hollywood. It turns out that there are some workplace horrors afoot over on the Ellen show set, with people claiming that you're not allowed to look Ellen in the eye, and those who approach her are often spoken to rudely or even face racial biases. Also, there seems to be some kind of drama with the toilets on set. I guess people's butts are very prestigious or something. There have been reports of Ellen getting people in trouble for having chipped nail polish, for giving away fan mail, and apparently there's a rumor that Ellen picks one member of staff to be mean to every day. Lovely person, isn't she? At number 5, Vanessa Hudgens. When you think about Vanessa Hudgens, most people would picture her in High School Musical. For years, she carried around that Disney vibe, but after learning about her dark side, you may change your thoughts about her. Basically, Vanessa often lets her jealousy get the best of her, and oftentimes this leads to people getting their feelings hurt. Take, for example, this one time when a fan approached Vanessa's ex, Zac Efron. The couple were out shopping at a department store when a young fan went up to Zac to tell him how much she loved him. She was apparently super nervous and stumbling over her words, and so instead of being an understanding and respectful person, Vanessa instead started making fun of the young fan. She started laughing at the poor girl and humiliated her in front of her celebrity crush. The other shoppers were shocked at Vanessa's behavior, but this apparently wasn't a new thing since Vanessa had reportedly told sources that she found fans to be obnoxious. Fans aren't the only ones to feel her wrath either, and she was rumored to have bullied Selena Gomez as well on a few occasions. At number 4, Lea Michele. Lea Michele is another celebrity who's been exposed for her mean streak this year. Following a Twitter exposure from former Glee co-star Samantha Ware, Lea has now been described as, quote, callous, rude, mean, and even a diva. But Samantha's exposure of the Broadway star isn't the only testimony that has come forward recounting her mean streak. There have been stories of Lea's microaggressions, but also stories of her spitting in craft service food, refusing to work with people because they didn't know her middle name, requesting reshoots because she didn't like her costume, disrespecting other castmates, and having crew members apologize on her behalf, and just so many other frustrating tidbits that just really show how rude and entitled she's known to be. At number 3, Neil deGrasse Tyson. You may know Neil deGrasse Tyson for being a Pluto hater, or for his time on TV having guest spots on The Big Bang Theory, and for hosting the show Cosmos, but after today you may know him for being a bad guy. First off, let's talk about his tweeting habits. People know him for his obnoxious opinions on sci-fi movies, as he likes to pick them apart for their scientific inaccuracies on Twitter, but he's also angered people for being insensitive. In 2019, after the US experienced a pair of mass shootings in Texas and Ohio, Tyson took to Twitter seemingly defending the gun violence, saying that more people have died from medical reasons or from accidents in those 2 days than from the shootings. He faced backlash for this tone-deaf tweet, but he's also faced backlash in the past for more serious issues. Other than his offensive tweets, he's also been accused of assault and harassment in the past. 3 women have come forward to accuse the scientist of assaulting them, and one of these women claims that Neil gave her a substance and had non-consensual relations with her, though he ended up writing this incident off as false memory. I was shocked to hear about Neil, and I'm sure I'm definitely not the only one who didn't know about this. At number 2, Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal seems to be this super great guy who's given back to his community, donated to all these charities, and has done a lot of work to benefit a lot of people. I mean, the guy has a whole foundation in his name, so this one might be a little controversial, but this was news to me, so I thought I'd share it with the class. There was an incident in 2014 when Shaq mocked the appearance of a man named Jamal Binion. Jamal suffers from a rare genetic condition which has resulted in some facial deformities. It seems like Shaq saw a picture of him online and recreated the image himself, posing his face to look like that of Jamal. Well, he didn't think it was very funny, and even though Shaq apologized, it wasn't enough, and so he issued a lawsuit against the basketball star, as well as 2 other people who mocked his condition for $25,000 in damages. The lawsuit claimed that the image was shared to nearly 10 million people around the world, so this public mocking was grounds for seeking damages. Shaq may not be a mean guy all of the time, but this instance sure did open a lot of people's eyes to the NBA star's actions. And finally at number 1, Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey isn't the nicest person ever. She's had run-ins with the paparazzi which have not gone over well. She's had some bad relationships with others, and she's known to be something of a diva. But this takes the cake. There was a lawsuit from one of Mariah's former assistants which claimed that the singer peed on her, ridiculed her body, and then called her some pretty rude names. Her former assistant said that she was hired by the singer to be on call 24/7 and assisted both Mariah and her manager. Though she was paid a salary of $250,000 a year, this wage just couldn't cover up the alleged abuse sustained by Mariah. But her case wasn't the only one up against the singer at the time. While this case was being disputed, Mariah had just settled one with her former manager which cited breach of contract, harassment, and unpaid wages. It seems like though she pays her people well, she doesn't treat them as well as she should.
Number 10, Jay-Z. Yes, it's true that he's a famous rapper with a stellar career that made millions and millions of dollars, and the fact that he's married to Beyonce is definitely something to brag about. With all that considered, anyone would be cocky, but Jay-Z takes it to a whole other level. In fact, his arrogance was at an all-time high in 2013, when he was heavily criticized by social activist Harry Belafonte and other prominent figures in the black community for what they believe is a lack of social responsibility. He responded in literally the worst way possible, quote, "I'm offended by that because first of all, and this is gonna sound arrogant, but my presence is charity, just who I am, just like Obama's is." He went on to say that Obama provides hope, whether he does anything. The hope that he provides for a nation and outside of America is enough. So basically, he says that he's doing the same thing just by being famous. Not only that, but in 2012, Jay-Z dissed Robert De Niro, who was apparently a big fan of his music. The actor reportedly called Jay-Z 6 times to work with him and received a grand total of 0 calls back. De Niro then verbally confronted Jay-Z about the situation and said, "It doesn't matter who you are, if someone calls you 6 times, you call them back. It doesn't matter who you are. That is just rude." Number 9. Gwyneth Paltrow. She's one of those celebrities that really need to be humbled. Even before trying to be some kind of lifestyle guru, she made it clear a long time ago just how out of touch she is with regular people. She once made an entire population of working mothers angry when she said, quote, "It's much harder for me. I think to have a regular job and to be a mom is not as, of course there are challenges, but it's not like being on set." Not only that, but in 2009, she was quoted saying, "I am who I am. I can't pretend to be somebody who makes $25,000 a year." Even earlier in 2006, she trash-talked Reese Witherspoon's career. Quote, "Why is she doing these stupid romantic comedies? But of course it's for money and status." And let's not forget all the drama with the Goop Lab, which is just another way for Paltrow to push her so-called healthy lifestyle onto regular people, where she posts must-have outfits that cost hundreds if not thousands of dollars and tries to frame it as a necessity. Her website was also heavily criticized for promoting questionable things like sprays and crystals that are meant to prevent mental manipulation by people, not to mention potentially dangerous supplements that were marketed to pregnant women. So it's no surprise that she earned the top spot in Star's 2013 Most Hated Celebrity list. Number 8. Jennifer Lopez. JLo's reputation as a diva precedes her, and over the years it's become blaringly obvious that she is not at all down to earth. She didn't hold back when it came to her opinion on sharing the stage with Shakira at the 2020 Super Bowl halftime show. In her newly released documentary called Halftime, she labeled it as the worst idea in the world. Quote, "If it was going to be a double headliner, they should have given us 20 minutes. That's what they should have effing done." Basically, it turns out that Jennifer was frustrated with the NFL for booking 2 headliners and making them share the stage at the same time. She's also notorious for refusing to talk to certain people, like in 2012 when she got a hotel maid fired for asking for her signature, or when she was on a commercial airline and a flight attendant asked JLo what she wanted to drink, and rather than telling the attendant, she turned to her assistant to have them relay the drink order. Let's also mention the infamous Movie Line interview in 1998, when she basically decided to trash all the other celebrities that were big at the time and try to trivialize their career. When asked about Madonna, she said, quote, "Do I think she's a great performer? Yeah. Do I think she's a great actress? No. Acting is what I do. So I'm harder on people when they say, oh, I can do that, and I'm like, no, don't spit on my craft." Number 7. James Charles. The internet cannot forget when YouTube makeup guru Tati Westbrook uploaded a viral video called Bye Sister, where she accused James Charles of using his fame to manipulate someone's sexuality. Tati mentioned one incident in particular, which occurred during her birthday party, where James had allegedly tried to flirt with a waiter named Sam, and used the excuse, "I'm a celebrity," when Tati warned him that Sam was actually straight. The level of entitlement there is ridiculous. Since then, a wave of allegations have come out accusing the YouTuber of sending explicit messages to minors, specifically nude photographs, and pressuring them into inappropriate conversations on Snapchat. In April of 2021, Charles did address the allegations in a YouTube video titled "Holding Myself Accountable," but that only served to dig him deeper into the hole, as he admitted to the fact that he had sent those messages to the minors. What's good is that he received quite a lot of backlash for the scandal, as Morphe, a makeup company that Charles had worked with since 2016, announced on Twitter that they had severed ties from the influencer. So in the end, his entitlement really caught up with him. Number 6, Adam Levine. There is no denying Adam Levine's sex symbol status, but for that exact same reason he has also been labeled a bit too cocky for his own good. In fact, just last year, a TikTok went viral of Adam going off on a fan for coming on stage. The incident happened during a Maroon 5 performance when he was belting out the band's 2004 hit Sunday Morning, and an overly eager fan suddenly rushed to the stage and reached for him. The video shows that security quickly grabbed the woman and pulled her away from Adam, who was then seen cursing, shuddering, and shaking off the experience before getting back into the music. Many were offended by his visceral reaction, suggesting that he should humble himself. And remember, the band is only successful because of its fans. But back in a 2014 interview with GQ magazine, the singer addressed his reputation as a bit of an egomaniac. Quote, "I'm not arrogant, I'm cocky. It's different. Cocky is playful." Others would certainly beg to differ. But if you want to know what was really obnoxious, let's look at his tone-deaf comments about infidelity in 2009, when he said, "I have cheated, and you know what? There is nothing worse than the feeling of doing it." So apparently it's not hard for the people that are getting cheated on, only the people that are doing the cheating. Number 4, Kanye West. There are approximately over 100,000 ridiculous Kanye West quotes on why he thinks that he's so great. So much so that these days he's more known for his erratic behavior and strange comments rather than for his music and fashion endeavors. Like at the 2009 MTV Video Music Awards, when he infamously interrupted Taylor Swift's acceptance speech for Best Female Video. Kanye jumped on stage and took over the mic, declaring that Beyoncé had one of the best videos of all time. And it wasn't just a heat of the moment thing, he seemed to be genuinely okay with interrupting another person's acceptance speech because a whole decade later, he told Nick Cannon, quote, "If God didn't want me to run up on stage and say, Beyoncé had the best video, he wouldn't have sat me in the front row." Apart from that, one of the cockiest things he's ever said was, quote, "For me, I am a creative genius. There's no other way to word it." He's also compared himself to Shakespeare, Andy Warhol, and Tupac. In fact, he once said, "I'm my own favorite rapper," and that his greatest pain in life is that he will never be able to see himself perform live. Wow. Number 3, DaBaby. Another celebrity that's extremely entitled is DaBaby. The 30-year-old rapper was accused of making homophobic remarks at a music festival concert in Miami last year. DaBaby told the crowd that if you didn't show up with any STIs, quote, "that'll make you die in 2 to 3 weeks, then put a cell phone light in the air." He was actually referencing the particular STI that most commonly affects the queer community, much to everyone's outrage. In fact, he shouted many other questionable things at the crowd, mainly trying to hype them up with disparaging comments about gay men. Of course, his behavior quickly drew massive criticism, and his attempt to clarify his views didn't really help his case at all. He claimed that his intentions were to uplift gay fans who are disease-free because they are not, quote, "nasty junkies." Naturally, he got ripped into by the LGBTQ+ community, Madonna, Elton John, and his collaborator Dua Lipa. He was booted from the 2022 Lollapalooza tour and had a concert in Atlanta called off, as well as the fashion brand Boohoo Man bolting on a deal with him, and radio stations putting his music into time out. And number 1, Shia LaBeouf. Never a stranger to acting out bad behavior or questionable choices, Shia LaBeouf's antics have given him a reputation for being one of the most obnoxious actors that Hollywood has ever produced. One perfect example of this was when the Transformers actor tried his hand at directing and came out with his very own short film called Howard Cantor, which was shown at Cannes in May 2012 and received significant acclaim and praise from critics everywhere. But what people didn't realize is that he literally stole the whole script and tried to claim it off as his own. The script was published online in late 2013, and comic fans noticed that the story was copied pretty much word for word from a book by Daniel Close, without credit, consent, or even compensation. To make matters worse, when confronted about it, Shia apologized and then later revealed to have plagiarized all of his apologies from other people. Only a few weeks later, as a publicity stunt to gain attention, he declared that he was retiring from his persona as a celebrity and started appearing in public wearing a paper bag on his head with the words "I am not famous anymore" written on it. If any celebrity would benefit from being humbled, it's definitely Shia LaBeouf.
At number 10, Catherine Zeta-Jones. According to people who've worked with or lived near, actress Catherine Zeta-Jones is one of those celebrities you do not not want to run into. People have had some less than kind reviews about their encounters with the actress, and it's surprising. Apparently, Catherine has a very entitled attitude, expecting to be catered to her every whim, and refuses to tip you for your assistance. One person even shared a story about how she was living in a condo when visiting a different city and demanded that the other tenants be banned from using the facility's gym while she was there. As one would expect, this request did not go over well with the rest of the tenants. She also has a reputation of being harsh and cold with fans. Once, when an 8-year-old fan of hers approached her saying that she wanted to become an actress just like Catherine, the actress reportedly just looked the girl up and down and told her, quote, "You're pretty enough, I suppose," and then just walked away. Clearly, Catherine has some things to learn about being nice to others. At number 9, Russell Crowe. Actor Russell Crowe is able to command an audience while performing and captivate them with his talent, but that seems to be about the extent of his pleasant connection with others, since he's reportedly a very mean person. There have been a number of reports detailing his violent outbursts, from yelling at people like fans and co-workers to fighting with his bodyguards. At one point, he was even rude to a large group of people while on an Irish talk show where he was performing a Johnny Cash song. The audience tried clapping along to the song but couldn't keep in time, and this made Russell mad and he told them to shut up. Russell has also had a violent outburst with hotel staff in 2005 where he threw a phone at one of its employees, resulting in him getting charged with felony assault. And to top it all off, he even had some harsh words for his fellow actors, calling George Clooney, Harrison Ford, and Robert De Niro sellouts. At number 8, Jon Hamm. Some have pointed out that Jon Hamm's Mad Men character, Don Draper, is played a little bit too well. The mean and arrogant character seems to share a number of similarities to Jon's own personality, according to some, which sort of makes the two of them mold into one uber mean guy. According to Kathy Griffin, of all people, Jon Hamm is a rude guy, and she exposed him in her book Celebrity Run-Ins: My A to Z Index. In her book, Kathy recounts her unpleasant encounter with Jon at a dinner party. Jon apparently questioned why Kathy was at the event in the first place, and then later on he approached her again, clearly intoxicated, while she was talking to Jack Nicholson, and whispered in her ear saying, quote, "You know your Emmy isn't a real Emmy and you're so old." That's exactly how it was spelled. Old. Yeah, sure, he's in the Skip the Dishes commercials, but frankly, I'd like to skip him. At number 7, Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire might look like the fun and lovable Peter Parker on screen, but unfortunately, that's far from who he really is. Turns out that Tobey is really just a Hollywood jerk, and fame really just drove him to being that way. He started off as a pretty humble guy, but after the Spider-Man films brought him so much fame and success, it consumed him. Towards the end of his Spider-Man days, Tobey had something of an attitude problem, where we saw him harassing people at a poker game, even going so far as to tell a woman to bark like a seal for $1,000. He also racked up a hefty production cost for the third Sam Raimi Spider-Man film because he needed doctors on site at all times to deal with his bad back, and he was only able to walk a certain amount of steps in a scene before needing to quit. Those who worked with him often called his attitude inappropriate, and he's really just been badmouthed by a lot of people he's worked with over the years, so he really doesn't seem like that much of a nice guy. At number 6, Ben Stiller. Though many people know him as this super funny guy, behind closed doors, it seems as though he's quite the opposite. People who know or have worked with Ben in the past have exposed some of his mean behavior, and it's pretty shocking. According to those who worked with him on the set of Tropic Thunder, he was very controlling and mean to just about everyone. He reportedly had a meltdown on set when his Diet Coke didn't have exactly 2 ice cubes in it, and he even had someone fired because they didn't put enough sugar in his coffee. Ben even forced his assistant to stand out in the parking lot in his designated parking space, even though it already had a sign saying that it was reserved. Ben also freaked out on a female assistant that he had and refused to come back to set until she was replaced by a male assistant. Being an assistant to the stars can often pay well, but I don't think you could ever pay me enough to endure Ben Stiller's treatment of others. At number 5, Terrence Howard. Empire actor Terrence Howard has a reputation for being difficult. He was dropped by the Iron Man franchise over failed contract negotiations and for being difficult to work with on set. This is far from the only reason why he's on this list. Terrence also has a reputation for harming women and others on many occasions. In 2000, the actor was arrested for assaulting a flight attendant, but those charges were later dropped. 1 year later, he was arrested again for getting into a heated argument with his ex-wife, which led to him driving to her house, kicking down the door, and physically harming her, to which he pleaded guilty. In 2005, he was involved in another violent encounter as he allegedly punched 2 people, and in 2010, less than a week after their wedding, Terrence began mistreating his wife, physically harming her and threatening her life. 2 years later, he was involved in another fight with one of his mistresses, where he physically assaulted her as well. Other than the fact that these violent incidents have happened so many times, the fact that he's also gone out of his way to blame these incidents on the victims on multiple occasions also says something about his attitude. At number 4, Cuba Gooding Jr. There is a lot that could be said about Cuba Gooding Jr. Firstly, it looks as though Cuba has quite a short temper. Once at a bar in New Orleans, some fans approached him asking for a photo, and instead of politely declining, he started yelling and swearing at those who asked for anything from him. Naturally, this caused a scene, but when the bartender asked him to leave, he responded by shoving her against a wall. Yeah. Lovely. This isn't the only time he's laid his hands on a woman though, because along with a bad temper, Cuba also has a record of having inappropriate or unwanted actions with women. His alleged victims have come forward accusing the actor of things from unwanted touching to making inappropriate remarks and creating uncomfortable environments by displaying unwanted flirtatious advances. Cuba has actually faced a number of lawsuits regarding his inappropriate behavior around women, and a number of women have come forward to share their unwanted encounters with him. Obviously, I can't go into detail about the things he's been accused of for YouTube reasons, but if you really want to know, it's on the internet for you to read. Bottom line, this guy is not nice at all. At number 3, Amber Heard. I couldn't make this mean celebrity list without including Amber. That's like watching a Marvel movie and leaving before the end credits. You just don't do that. I'm sure that we all know who Amber Heard is by now, and if not, where have you been? Amber and Johnny have been the media's it story this past year, and we've learned so much. If you've seen my recent video where I gave you the top 10 worst Amber Heard moments, then it's no surprise to you that she is a horrible person, but if not, let me recap some of her highlights. She's gotten into a fight with her sister, she's been recorded confessing to hitting Johnny Depp, she's pretended to have been a victim of a violent crime, she's smuggled her dogs into Australia, pretended not to have known about the laws there, and tried to get her assistant to commit perjury. She's responsible for Johnny's severed finger, and she's supposedly planted stories in the media to deliberately shift the focus from Johnny to her. Because of all of these things that have come out about the actress, there's just so many people from around the world who just really hate her. There have been petitions to have her removed from certain movies, and she's lost a lot of respect from fans and some Hollywood people as well. So yeah, she definitely belongs on this list. At number 2, Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan had her Hollywood fall from grace, and even though we still talk about her, she doesn't hold the same notoriety as she once did. There are a lot of factors that play into that, but one of those being her reputation of rubbing people the wrong way. There are people who say that she's entitled because she gained fame at such a young age, so she expects everyone to bow down to her in a way. She's also been called a liar after lying to police on multiple occasions, and Paris Hilton even called her a pathological liar after Lindsay claimed to have handled Whitney Houston's body bag while volunteering at a morgue. On top of that, she's apparently a nightmare to work with because she damages sets and steals props and has a reputation for holding up production. She's known to berate her assistants for the littlest things, and she's known to manipulate people into getting her own way. There are a number of people who have horror stories about Lindsay making her out to be less than kind.
Number 10, Will Smith. Most people know about the infamous slap at this year's Oscars, but Will Smith's arrogant behavior actually dates back a few decades. Just ask Janet Hubert. She played Aunt Viv on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air alongside Will Smith in the 90s sitcom. When Hubert left the show in 1993, she said that it was due to creative differences, but eventually revealed that she practically got bullied off the show by Smith, who was a rising star at the time. In fact, he went on the record publicly dissing his former co-star several times, and during one radio interview he said, quote, "I can straight up say that Janet Hubert wanted the show to be the Aunt Viv of Bel-Air show." As a result, Janet was somewhat shut out of the industry and labeled as hard to work with. When asked if Smith had matured since those comments, she told TMZ that he is still an egomaniac and has not grown up. It wasn't until the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion special in 2020 that Smith even acknowledged that he made life hell for the actress during their 3rd season. Hubert opened up about how those rumors had cost her everything, including her career and reputation. Quote, "Calling a black woman difficult is Hollywood's kiss of death." Number 9. Miles Teller. While being interviewed for Esquire in 2015, he was quoted saying, "I was thinking about how I probably think I'm better looking than the public thinks I am. Maybe it's because I came from a small town, but I always did well for myself." A lot of people seem to think that he was implying that girls from small towns have lower standards, or that there simply aren't as many good looking people in small towns. Either way, it was a bit of a strange remark. Teller has also had no issue insulting John Cusack by saying, "I guess we look alike. We did some similar movies. He wasn't traditionally good looking, he was offbeat and quirky but confident. I get it, but I don't want his career." That last comment seemed a little bit unnecessary, but okay. Not only that, but Teller tried to distance himself from his fellow actors. Quote, "I feel like a lot of actors of my generation are not proper actors. I want to break out of that whole group of actors in their early 20s and really start to put stuff down that lets you know I take this seriously." It's only been a few years since he landed his first major role, but the actor has already developed something of a reputation in the industry. He admitted to only taking his role in the movie Divergent for business reasons, and that the blockbuster left him feeling dead inside. Clearly, Miles Teller is just a little too comfortable throwing his own movies under the bus after he receives the check. Number 7. Justin Bieber. In the beginning of his career as a young teen, Bieber seemed to be extremely humble and kind, but as his fame grew, so did his attitude and lack of human decency. He took his apparent belief that he is a one-of-a-kind way beyond his position in the music industry. Like when Bieber said that he hoped Anne Frank would have been a believer. The once teenage heartthrob shocked the internet in 2013 when he was in Amsterdam visiting the hiding place of the young victim, which has since been turned into a museum. The Canadian pop star opened himself up to ridicule and online anger when he wrote in the Anne Frank House guest book that it was truly inspiring to be able to come here and that Anne was a great girl. Hopefully she would have been a believer. The comments were insensitive at best, as it sounded like he believed Anne Frank would have been his devoted fan. Not only that, but he's also thought of himself above the law on several occasions, and is known for his atrocious behavior in public. He's been in trouble with the cops for graffiti spraying, egg throwing, smoking, and causing disturbances to his neighbors, just to name a few. In a 2013 Billboard interview, Bieber said, quote, "Don't say I'm not talented. If you haven't noticed, I wasn't made, I was found." Yeah, okay. Number 5. Kim Kardashian. The Keeping Up with the Kardashians star was never really one to be humble. In fact, she's known to be obnoxious and what some would call everything that's wrong with celebrity culture these days. She is totally obsessed with her appearance, and fans have seen her complain about not being skinny enough or fashionable enough for years on her show. So no one was really surprised when in 2015 she published a book containing only her selfies, which certainly speaks to how confident she is that people would want to buy 1,000 photos of her face. Or in 2011, when Old Navy released a series of ads featuring a brunette woman that looked ever so slightly similar to Kim, so she sued the company for millions of dollars. She believed that they capitalized on her look and caused serious damage to her career, which caused her to lose somewhere in the range of $15 to $20 million. Not to mention when she tried to break into the music industry in 2011 with her one and only song that was called Jam Turn It Up. Let's just say that it was a flop, but the music video was comedy gold. It's really no wonder that she's known as the most conceited of the Kardashians. Number 4. Chrissy Teigen. The 35-year-old cookbook author faced heavy criticism recently following reports of cyberbullying and extremely arrogant behavior, even for a Hollywood celebrity. So many celebrities came forward to accuse Teigen, including Lindsay Lohan, Farrah Abraham, and Project Runway star Michael Costello, of being extremely cruel online. It was really bad. In fact, the model had to apologize for telling reality star Courtney Stodden to take her own life in 2011, and she only backpedaled on her comments when she was called out for them. When speaking about the incident, Teigen admitted that she was, quote, being an insecure, attention-seeking troll. But she has also bullied little children. When talking about a 9-year-old in 2013, she tweeted, quote, "Is it okay to call a small child cocky?" Not only that, but a clip of the model went viral when she was hosting the Billboard Music Awards in 2015, and she was making her way to the stage when a woman tripped over her gown and fell. Instead of stopping to help the woman up or even check to see if she was okay, she just kept strutting her stuff. If anyone needs to be humbled, it's definitely Chrissy Teigen. Number 2. Bradley Cooper. Few people would believe that the Hangover star is just another obnoxious Hollywood type, but according to his ex-wife's autobiography, Jennifer Esposito believed that he was arrogant and a master manipulator. In the wake of their 5-month marriage breakdown, she claimed that the actor actually had a mean, cold side that he he attempted to keep hidden from the public, which he could turn on and off like a switch. The autobiography called Jennifer's Way doesn't mention Bradley by name, but the time frame that she mentions fits with the time that she was with the Hollywood star. The 49-year-old actress described being asked out by the actor and ignoring an entire marching band squad of red flags because she didn't think the romance would pan out. But sure enough, they got married in 2007, and according to Jennifer, their relationship quickly became unhealthy and she felt very alone. Meanwhile, rumors were circulating within the industry that Bradley would often exhibit diva behavior, which only intensified when the Brazilian newspaper Glamorama claimed that he intentionally ignored his fans while filming The Hangover 3 and was also late to several press conferences and rude when it came to answering questions from reporters. And coming in at number 1, P. Diddy. Although Sean P. Diddy Combs seems to be in the public eye a little less over the years, there was a long span of time when he was seemingly everywhere, from the music scene to television and the fashion world. You don't have to dig too deep online to unearth some of the most cockiest things that the rapper has ever said. For instance, when talking about his love life, he was extremely overconfident. Quote, "Being an international rap superstar, sex is one of the easiest things to get, so there is a point where you get tired of it." Not only that, but at the launch of his clothing line, he was quoted telling reporters, "I am fashion." And let's not forget about the infamous Playboy interview that he did. Quote, "If I'm not inspiring you at this point, you're a lost hope. I dare you to write down all of my achievements. It will be overwhelming. Who else has conquered television? Who else has conquered fashion?" Honestly, it's hard to believe these statements are even real, but it does sound very similar to things Kanye has said over the years. Diddy also received a lot of backlash after hosting this year's Billboard Awards, with many people criticizing the rapper for using the platform to blatantly promote all things related to him and not the show. Talk about ego.
At number 10, Kim Kardashian. Kim K is definitely no stranger to scandal. It seems like every few weeks she's in the news about something, and her fans, haters, and news sources alike are talking about her latest scandal, either defending or scrutinizing her for it. Though she's faced backlash for political drama and for taking vacations during the pandemic, one of her longest standing dramas is her cultural appropriation. Many of the things Kim posts or advertises gets called out for cultural appropriation. Back when she first launched her shapewear line Skins, she faced backlash for its original name being kimono, as it was seen as offensive to the Japanese community. She's also been called out for appropriating black culture as well because of the hairstyles that she's worn and for blackfishing. Kim has been seen wearing cornrows and posing with darkened tans on multiple occasions, which has angered many people. She, as well as many other members of her family, have been called out for these kinds of actions, and the fact that this keeps happening kind of says a lot about them. At number 9, Drake Bell. I think most people know about Drake Bell from his time on Nickelodeon, specifically for his role in the show Drake and Josh. Drake Bell was a big part of a lot of people's childhoods, but his past actions may surprise you. In August 2020, Drake was accused of mistreating his ex-girlfriend Melissa Lingefeld after she took to TikTok to make a video detailing her experiences with the actor. Melissa told fans on TikTok that during her relationship with Drake, which lasted from August 2006 to February 2009, she endured physical and verbal mistreatment from her partner. The pair started dating when Melissa was 16, and after a year of dating, she claimed that the quote, worst type of verbal mistreatment you could ever imagine began. She then detailed some of the physical mistreatment that she endured as well. She also brought to light some of the messages that suggested other inappropriate relationships that Drake has had in the past. Drake denied these allegations, but support and praise for telling her story was still given to Melissa regardless. Before I carry on with this list, I'd like to ask you guys to please consider leaving a like on this video if you are enjoying it so far. It really helps the channel out, and we love seeing your support as well. At number 8, Bruce Willis. Actor Bruce Willis has had a great career making great movies and basking in fame, but it seems as though he's not all that great in real life. Though his films are often very successful, it all comes at a price that those who worked alongside him have had to pay. Apparently, Bruce is a nightmare to work with, as he's gotten into some conflicts with others on set, and people just really hate working with him. Before Die Hard launched his film career, he was brought into stardom after working on the show Moonlighting alongside his co-star Sybil Shepherd. In 2005, Shepherd told sources that there came a point where her relationship with Bruce became volatile and they clashed a lot on set. There was reportedly constant bickering, and it was just a toxic environment. But Sybil isn't the only one to have clashed with Bruce while working together. Filmmaker Kevin Smith has also had his troubles with working with Bruce while filming the 2010 film Cop Out. He told sources that though he said that Bruce was his hero in past productions, that opinion completely went out the window after saying that working with Bruce was very difficult. When talking about their time together on set, he turned out to be the unhappiest, most bitter, and meanest emo B-word I've ever met at any job I've held down, and mind you, I've worked at Domino's Pizza. What an awful experience, end quote. Maybe Bruce just isn't all he's cracked up to be. At number 7, Carrie Underwood. This one was a little surprising to me, but according to those who've encountered Carrie Underwood, she's not as nice as you'd think. Apparently, Carrie is sometimes known to be quite rude and arrogant. Carrie is reportedly rude to other celebrities and often snaps at them, expecting utter perfection or nothing at all. She once told Leighton Meester to quote, "get out there and not F it up" at an award show, and when someone spoke up about that kind of attitude, Carrie just replied saying quote, "she'll get over it." Carrie has also admitted to being less than hospitable towards fans and even being selfish and closed off around them. There have even been reports of Carrie being a song stealer. A singer-songwriter sued Carrie, the NFL, and NBC for having allegedly stolen a song that she had written in 2016, saying that they plagiarized it and were using it to introduce Sunday Night Football. The suit was later dropped, but it still left people wondering if that's all she's allegedly stolen. At number 6, Naomi Campbell. Supermodel Naomi Campbell has been in the fashion industry for over 30 years, and over this time she's had her fair share of scandals and feuds, most notably her feud with fellow model Tyra Banks, who's painted Naomi as the industry's mean girl. Though this feud has shown that Tyra is actually meaner than Naomi, and we've covered her mean streak in one of our other parts of this series, that doesn't mean that Naomi is off the hook, as she's known to have violent outbursts. Naomi has been accused of being violent on 11 occasions and has been convicted of assault 4 times. Some of the reported violent incidents include the model physically harming her assistant, grabbing her by the throat and beating her with a phone, harming another assistant and allegedly holding her hostage, throwing her phone at a housekeeper, and other accounts of emotional and physical distress. Naomi is known for having a temper and for getting into conflicts in the past, but still tries to make amends for those actions. Halfway through at number 5, Christian Bale. Christian Bale's temper is really something to behold. I really wanted to include a clip of one of his outbursts, but there was so much swearing that no one has time to bleep all of that. After his outbursts on set, from crew members upsetting him to fans getting him riled up, Hollywood has begun to paint the actor as someone with serious anger issues. In one instance, according to Christian's former assistant, he once wanted to kill a fan. Fans seem to have really upset the actor on multiple occasions, so apparently once Christian received a fan letter at home, he said that the fan should be eliminated. He described wanting to thrust a screwdriver through the fan's eye and into their brain to the part that prevents screaming. I'll let that one sit there for a second. On another occasion, Christian went on a 4-minute swear word-ridden tirade where he really chewed out a crew member from the set of Terminator Salvation. That one I have no quotes for, because if I repeated any of those words, this video would be flagged, and just trust me when I say Christian Bale is one mean SOB. At number 4, Dan Schneider. If you watched Nickelodeon in the late 90s and early 2000s, you may be familiar with Dan Schneider. Schneider was the creator of hit shows like The Amanda Show, Drake and Josh, and iCarly, and was a longtime partner with Nickelodeon, so it came as a surprise to many after it was announced that the company would be cutting ties with Dan and his production company. Being such an abrupt decision, many were left wondering what happened, and as a result, allegations of misconduct started to come to light. Since his departure from the company, allegations of mistreatment came out, as well as allegations of manipulating actors and suggestive behavior as well. Though these allegations have been denied by Dan, some former stars have subtly advised fans to not support Dan or his past shows. Actress Alexa Nicholas, known for her role in Zoey 101, made a series of posts about Dan after allegations against him came out, where she told people to not watch his shows, saying that he is not a good guy. If there's one thing we know, it's that Hollywood is scarily good at brushing misconduct under the rug, so perhaps he is a monster, but for now, it's just unconfirmed. At number 3, Alec Baldwin. Actor Alec Baldwin is yet another celebrity who's rubbed people the wrong way because of his short temper. He's gotten in trouble over the years for being verbally and physically aggressive, which caused him to have a mean streak in Hollywood. One of his earliest scandals happened in 1995, where he was placed under a citizen's arrest after punching a cameraman in the face, breaking his nose. The altercation happened because a photographer was trying to take a picture of his new daughter, so I guess his parental instincts just got the best of him, but if this aggression was just a one-off, off, that would be one thing, but unfortunately this isn't the case with Alec. Later on in 2007, he was in the news again for berating his daughter on the phone, calling her a selfish little pig, among other harsh things, after he got frustrated that she didn't pick up his calls. And he was kicked off of an American Airlines flight in 2011 after being aggressive after he was told to turn his phone off on the plane. There are a number of other stories of Alec getting aggressive, so I think it's safe to say that he's got a mean streak. At number 2, Hilary Duff. Hilary Duff is seemingly one of the former Disney stars who was able to walk away from the company unscathed for the most part, but over the years it seems as though she's traded her goody Disney image for a mean girl attitude. While her character Lizzie McGuire stood up to being mean, Hilary clearly did not keep that in mind when she put her neighbor on blast in 2018. The actress took to her Instagram to rant about her neighbor, talking about the noise and the smell that she's endured while living near them, but instead of keeping their name out of things, she put it out there. Multiple times. On several Instagram stories, Hilary posted her neighbor's first and last name as she continued to berate them and call them names. Doing this actually violated Instagram's community guidelines, and some of the posts were taken down as a result. I mean, anybody can rant about whatever, as we've seen on the internet multiple times, but posting their name to millions of followers who are also able to find this person and berate them more is definitely going too far and definitely grants you a mean status. And finally, at number 1, Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson is known for his alt-metal music and unique style, but now he's also known as someone who hurts others. Actress Rachel Wood came out to name the singer as the one who's hurt her, accusing him of manipulating and brainwashing her from a young age. The actress posted a testimony to her Instagram calling Manson as well as the industry out for his actions and for enabling him all this time. In the past, Rachel Wood has spoken out about the fact that she was in a toxic relationship and has detailed some of the horrific things that she's experienced, but she's never named the one who mistreated her until now. In a published testimony, she said, quote, "He broke me down through means of starvation, sleep deprivation, and threats against my life, sometimes with things which would result in me having severe panic attacks where I was unable to breathe or stop shaking." She also said that she had her phone tapped and had threats made against her loved ones. Other women have also come forward to detail their encounters with the singer and the things that they've experienced as well. Manson has since been dropped by his label and booking agent after these allegations came to light.